Zoom, but just coming out of our computer, so we don't hear anything coming out of the computer, and it'll still record us on Zoom. But then,
okay, yeah. Let's see. Mute the computer.
Yep, and then we'll just hear each other.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yep.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great.
And then I'm gonna go live on IG.
And now you're gonna go live on IG?
Yep. Live. Hey guys, getting ready to do a live enlightened conversation here with celebrity personal trainer Yancy Berry. Whoop.
Hey guys, getting ready.
Go. All right, there's your request. Bam. Hello everyone. I'm going to put a prompt to ask any questions that you guys are inspired. Hello, Shannon. Hello everyone. I'm live here with celebrity personal trainer and life coach Yancy Berry. I'm getting ready to do a live podcast recording with him, and you guys can ask questions if you're inspired. I'm going to type that here and pin it. Live with.
And how's my volume, Noel?
You're perfect. Yep, you're good
awesome.
to go. YB
Welcome,
Wellness.
Everybody.
Live with YB Wellness. Wellness, celebrity. Instagram always makes you type.
Hi, Ashley,
type
how are
it
you?
All right, personal trainer. Ask questions if inspired. Cool. All right, pin that. Bam, we're ready. Recording on here. Recording on Zoom. We got technology going all over the place out there, so.
Yes, it is. It's happening.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Excited for today, and going to be a fun conversation that we have today. Excited to connect here with Yancy Berry, who is a celebrity personal trainer and life coach and awesome human being out in the Los Angeles, California area here in the U.S. And came across Yancy's Instagram page not too long ago and loved what he was doing, the vibes he was sharing with his audience. I immediately reached out to him and told him that I appreciate him and asked him if he wanted to join me for a fun conversation here. And that's what we're getting ready to do now. So for those of you guys that are tuned in live with us, feel free to ask questions if you're inspired to and share this. This will be here on stream for it'll be here for a day on IGTV. And without further ado, for me, I want to introduce you guys to reintroduce some of you guys to Yancy. And if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
I love it. Well, thanks for having me. Everybody who's here with us today. Yeah, I'm a personal trainer. I'm a life coach. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm able to virtually now with people all over the country and beginning to work with people internationally as well. So I guess you can say I'm an international life coach, which is fantastic. I got into fitness 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, and I began my career as a personal trainer at which is a high-end chain of gyms here in the United States, London, and Canada. And I just had a great run. I began that career in my mid-30s, and I was fortunate enough to have so much failure and hardship before that time, as well as so much success that I was really able to hit the ground running in that field. And what happened was I did so much work training, and I did so many training sessions. I was working with tons of people. I was one of the most successful trainers in the entire company, and I was able to expand my work side of fitness. You know, you can only do so many sets and reps with people before you start talking life with them and how to get better. And I've been fortunate enough because I work with so many successful people. I mean, not just people who are quote unquote famous, but people who are really successful in business, really successful in other areas as well, philanthropy, all these different things. And I'm able to really connect with these real greats. And what happened was I became a real sounding board for them. You know, they were able to discuss ideas that they were working on, and I was able to learn a lot and help. And because I had some life coaches in the past, I had 3 different ones. I was like, about 5 years in, when I not maxed out everything that I could possibly do, but was already one of the most successful people in the world in that field, I was like, let me expand outside of this. And then I just branched into life coaching. A little more than 4 years. I've been coaching ever since. It's been a great run. So many bigger than fitness, relationships, career, mostly spiritual well-being. And just from all that I've been able to do, been able to connect with people and help them do the same thing. It's just been a run. It's just to be ever expanding, and so much good stuff is happening. So thank you for letting me share that.
I love it, and I love what you've shared already. And it's so interesting because a lot of times I'm sure people thought they were coming specifically to train the body, the physical, and that's it. And what we don't realize until we do is that it's all tied together. The mind, body, spirit, like everything is working in conjunction or not working in conjunction, and that makes life a little bit challenging.
Right.
So I always love knowing from people, because I know all of us come here into this world as little unconditional loving little babies, and then for most of us forget who we are, along the path, and that's a part of the journey, for all of us. And then the light bulb, can come back on at any moment, which is why I like having conversations like these to help with that, with anybody out there that is inspired to participate. For you, how did that look? Did you go from unconditional loving little baby to what we see here today, just like lit up human being, or was there some steps along the way?
There were so many steps along the way, Noel. What the big thing that happened to me, I think that has happened to so many people, was in my teens. I fell into drug abuse early on. So I started using marijuana was my main drug early as a teenager at 12, 13 years old. And what happened was it made me comfortable connecting with others. You know what I mean? It's like, because I always kind of felt like something was wrong, or I never quite felt comfortable in my skin. So to pick up a joint, to be able to hang out with people was fantastic on one hand, but on the other hand, it was bad because I really leaned on it heavily. And it wasn't a big deal for me, like, early on, but as I became a late teenager, like 18, 19, it became everything. When I just started drinking, I started drinking super heavily my last of high school, and I went from being an A to literally barely graduating high school. My mom actually even had to, like, reach out to, like, a couple of teachers so I could pass. And so I went from this to this person who literally all I did was drink and get high. Within a year, I was drinking and getting high every single day, all day, and it became a real big mess. And it affected my relationships. It affected my ability to go to school. I went to college for a year, dropped out. It affected my ability to work. Every job I started, I would either get fired from or quit because I'd self-sabotage. And it was a really, really difficult place for me. And then some really rough things happened. My brother got killed by an off-duty police officer. I was 21. My mom died when I was 24, and I just went into a real pit of despair, and lived in that pit for about a year. And I was completely suicidal. Fortunately, a little bit after my 26th birthday, I got clean and sober, and that was like my reintroduction to life. I got clean and sober at 26, and I'm 47 now, and I've been clean and sober ever since. And that has been another journey unto itself. So many great things, so many difficult things. But getting clean and sober really opened and allowed me to move forward as I have now.
Super interesting. And thank you for sharing all of that, because a lot of times, like, we have these conversations and we're, sharing these high vibes and, intention to impact and uplift the audience. And a lot of times it's our stories of the hardships and the challenges that really can inspire someone from wherever they are, because we've all experienced them. Like, nobody's had just like, and that's why I try to ask the question that I asked you with a straight face, but it always leads to a laugh from the guest when I say, do you go from unconditional loving little baby to poof, here you are? Because I just haven't met the human that's been their life experience. Definitely wasn't for me. Thank you for sharing all that, because for all of us, if we think about it, it's those challenges that lead to the life experience, of course, but that the clarity as far as, okay, this part of life was rough. I don't want to live this way anymore. This is how I would like to live. And then, conversations like these and so many different ways for us to have the awareness to where, how can we live the way that we want to, and what do we need to do, and, all of these things, which is what you're showing people now with, with you help them with their physical body, and also as a life coach. So you always, when you kind of got cleaned up and you got sober, is that when fitness became a big part of your life, or was it already before that? That was, when did that happen?
actually, even after that, it feels like my life has been 5 years long because it feels like it's gone like that. But I'm 47, so I've been on the planet for a while. So I got clean and sober at 26, and can I tell you, my most important job was I got a job in customer service for a teddy bear company. And I did that for 4.5 years. I was never able to get a job ever, Noel. And I got this job, and I kept it for 4.5 years, and I learned how to help people. I learned how to be of service. It was the simplest job, but doing that actually built a lot of confidence in me. And about 4.5 years clean and sober, I was 30 years old. I went into finance first. So I went into finance, and I was a financial advisor for 5 years. And it was awesome because it was so hard. There were 1% of financial advisors at that time were black. So not only was I a black financial advisor, I also educated. I had literally barely graduated high school, and my competition was literally white males in their 40s and 50s who had masters and PhDs in finance. So for me to go up with and compete against these people and have a moderate amount of success, it took my confidence level from a 1 out of 10 to like a 10 out of 10, because I'm like, okay, if I can do this, I can do anything. And I did that for about 5 years, and I left that industry because I didn't like the industry. Not because I wasn't good at it. I actually had a bunch of money saved, and I was like, I don't like this job, so I'm going to do something else. And I left, and I actually didn't do anything for like 6 to 9 months. I sat on my butt. I spent all my money, and I was like, oh, I better go to work, And I went to work actually in live sound for a couple years, which was a very basic job, like, miking people up for plays and speeches and all things. And I did that for a couple years, and I have a son who's 11 now. And when he was 1 year old, I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do that I can provide for this guy and love it? What's the combo? And I was training for a marathon at the time. I was running miles and miles every day. And a neighbor was like, Yancy, I think you'd be a good personal trainer. And I was like, really? I had never looked into it. I had never thought about it. I had basically only been running for a few months, maybe 3-6 months, something like that. And this neighbor said, you'd be a great trainer. I was like, all right, well, let me need to do something for my life. And I looked into it, and the people seemed happy. They seemed to enjoy their life. They just didn't seem to make very much money, which I think probably is still the case today. But just like anything, if you're able to master it, get really, really good at it, and really pursue, you'll do well. So I was able to do that. And after about 1.5 years of really, really getting my foot in the door and really crushing, I was able to make a bunch of money, which is how I could provide for my kid and put him in school and give us a great place to live and all the spoils that comes with success. So it just became a big part of my life. And the funny thing is I don't even work out because I love it at all. I'm fortunate because I can see the mindset of so many of my clients. I work out because of the benefits. Because I'm like, oh my God, working out is my favorite thing on planet Earth. Really, let's know in spiritual development, the life coaching stuff is the most, like, that's the stuff I live for. But I just so happen to know all of these benefits for fitness, so I'm able to get into it, put my whole heart and soul into it, and then give it to another individual as a personal training session, and hopefully more.
I love that. I love that. You guys pay attention to how Yancy described, because I thought he was going to go right into the fitness from the clean and sober at 26, but there were so many other elements. And just a great reminder for all of us that there's things that we've all done in our lives, and maybe you're doing some of those things right now that you don't see how they're going to serve you going forward. And then you might not understand that until all of a sudden you're doing something else in another stage of life, and you're like, because of this, like, the most important part of that I got was when Yancy saw that he could hold a job down, and his confidence went in the financial sector went from a 1 to a 10. That's priceless for any of us. Like, if your confidence goes from a 1 to a 2, like, I'm so happy for you, or 2 to a 3, like, I'm so happy for you. So from a 1 to a 10, I mean, now life is your oyster at this point. Like, you can go out there and create what you want. Yeah. So I love that.
Even the failures and the difficulties, Noel, even the difficulties, like you said. Because if you can't overcome difficulty, good luck in this life, because it doesn't matter. I'm so fortunate because I know so many people in every different facet. Riches can be and was born into it. Riches can be and earned it from nothing. Poorest can be, was born wealthy. Poorest can be and lived there. And every single one of us has one thing in common. Life is difficult. It presents its challenges for all of us, some more than others. But everybody has their stuff, So if you're able to overcome difficulty and help people to do the same, You know, it really is your oyster, because all it takes to be successful is to figure out how to help people solve problems. And one where it can be, you can have a technological device, you can be in service, you can be in philanthropy, you can be a doctor, you can be a nurse's aide like my mom. All it takes is being able to help people, and you're on your way.
Absolutely. I love how you just highlighted the different phases of life, or the different ways that people come into life, and then some stay there, some's coming wealthy. For all of us, if we think about this, like all the life experiences that we've had up until today, it's the reason why we know what we like, what we don't like, what we want to see in our life, what we don't want to see. And we really only have two choices from there. And these choices you can switch back and forth anytime that you want, because the choices are always made in the present moment right now. But it's, do I want to focus on what I would like to see in my life and put my attention and my energy on there, even if right now I don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who it's going to be, if I want some type of relationship or whatever these, life things that you want. Or what we can do, which is actually even easier to do, but not going to give you the results that you really want in your life, we can focus on all the challenges and all the things that have already been manifested, which are really, this is already energy that's already been put into life. Like if it's already manifested, there's already been energy to manifest that thing, whether it's a relationship, a health challenge, a financial challenge, whatever it is. So a lot of us, because we're looking at what already is, we're keeping our attention on that, which only can perpetuate more of that energy, which is going to create more of that. So again, we have an option to go back and forth anytime we want. I just love to help people remember that all of us have the option to place our attention and our energy on what it is that we would like to see, and then don't worry about how it's going to happen, when, because that's not our work. Like none of us can predict any of the synchronicities of life that are happening. Like we never have been able to. You never will be able to. You can't tell me one thing in your life that's manifested that you're like, oh, I knew I was going to meet this person and they were going to tell me to go here and read this book, and then all of this sudden this happened. Nobody has a story like that. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, life can work cards that are continually dealt, and sometimes you get aces and sometimes you get twos, And for the most important thing is I think when something's good is to you, I think it's really easy to be happy. When good stuff's happening, you get a good break. It's always easy. But one of the things that I like to teach is, what do you do when the challenges come along and you have options? You can live in the challenge, you can live with it, you can begrudge it, feel terrible, and wait for your ace to come back again. Or you can figure out what to do, because half the time it's going to be bad stuff. And for me, I like to on my own, it's a practice that I do on my own, and then I really try to teach people who I coach, is find the gratitude in it. It's a very difficult thing to do in the beginning, but you can really master finding things to be grateful for, even around a difficult. And if you can look through things with the eyes of gratitude when things are hard, you're on your way. You're so successful already, because you're feeling 100% better. You're way more able to do something good. When the good stuff happens, you just roll with it. So if that's the case, 80 to 100% of the time, you're doing awesome.
Absolutely. If you can do what Yancy just described, which all of us can, it's a choice. If you notice yourself starting to be grateful, even in challenging situations and circumstances, you're definitely on your way. You're in a really good spot, because, again, all of us have the option. And if we're grateful for nothing else other than we wouldn't be as clear about the things that we desire in life, things we like and don't like, without those challenges, none of us would. You take any of the challenges that any of us have had, take them away, and now we haven't had that life experience, so you really don't know that this is something that you want or something that you don't know. All the most challenging relationships that any of us have had, now you know what you want, but how would you know that if you didn't experience what you didn't want? So we could be grateful for that. Not that you want to go live more of that, I'm not saying that, but you could be grateful for at least that. Or you can blame it, condemn it, be like, if it wasn't for that, I'd be so much further. You could do that too. That's not going to cause much growth in the areas that you want in your life right now. And it's just a great reminder. And I'll take it one step further, because I love the gratitude topic. This is going to be very helpful for anybody out there that is listening for the first time or has been listening for a while. It's just, I remind myself of this all the time. With physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if we're grateful if we count our blessings, the cliche, if we actually do it, and we're grateful for anything, we find anything to be grateful for, what that's going to cause is an equal and opposite reaction towards us of things to be grateful for. So, or we can be not grateful, and that can cause an equal and opposite reaction of things to not be so grateful for. And so it's always a choice. I love the topic of gratitude, and it's so powerful.
Yeah, and also gratitude. You're so right, Noel. And also, gratitude is a muscle. speaking of fitness, the more you work a specific muscle, the stronger it's going to get. If you get really attitude, you're only going to get stronger and stronger. So it's going to take basically an apocalypse to really bring you down. If you can get strong enough, like the globe is with something really, really hard right now. And let me tell you something. God, every single person, and some people have been harmed or lost their businesses or lost their lives, and God bless every one of them. But let me tell you something. This pandemic, it hasn't brought me down. And the reason it hasn't brought me down isn't because I'm special or anything like that. It's only because I've worked on this muscle of gratitude for years, man. I've worked for years on being grateful. So when shit hits fan, I look for what can I be grateful for? 10 things right now. That if it wasn't for this pandemic, I could not have done this. And it's not to run away from the thing. It's really to bring the thing in. I think, it's not, there's this toxic positivity movement going on where people they're just too positive, this or that. That is true if you're not able to really look at your emotions and deal with them. That's BS, man. We built this muscle that allows us to be grateful and to be positive even in the face of difficulty. And on top of that, the kicker is help somebody else feel better too.
Absolutely. So good. I love the emphasis on it's a muscle, and it's just a practice for all of us. Like anything that you become aware of that a second before that you weren't aware of, now you could be super excited because now you have the power of choice with that awareness. Now the choice is always going to be up to us in the moment. And if it matters to you enough, you'll start to practice it. Just like the 10 things to be grateful for that Yancy just mentioned. Anybody that starts to practice that will turn that into just a really powerful, that'll become a strength for you. Like what used to be one of my greatest weaknesses, and we were mentioning it a second ago, it was everything that was happening in the external, whether it was in a relationship or in my health or my job or whatever else, that would control how I felt on the internal. And what I didn't realize is that was a vicious cycle because unfortunately we're reflecting what we see, the synchronicities of life, the things that we can't predict are reflecting from what's going on the internal. So what happens if everything in your life is determined by what you see? I watch the news and then now I'm like, oh, that sucks. So now I feel bad on the inside. So now I manifest thoughts and ideas and situations and circumstances that aren't so pleasant. And then it just keeps going because I'm not aware of this. Once I became aware, now it's a choice. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to continue to be the reason why I'm continuing to manifest things that are so unpleasant. So a decade later, now that's my greatest strength because it mattered enough to me to continue to focus on it and practice it like a muscle. So I love the analogy of the muscle because it's so true.
Yes.
So true.
Absolutely.
I love it. The fitness and any analogy to muscles is my favorite. I knew talking to Yancy today that anytime I talk to anybody that you guys will hear me say all the time, like challenge the body, I'm all about challenging ourselves and like seeing what we can do because we're so unlimited when we really see what, like you mentioned training for marathons. And is that you've run marathons now, I'm assuming?
I've run 11 of them.
Woo! 26
really
miles?
26.2.
Woo!
And everyone I've started, I've been fortunate enough to finish. If running one is a great feat, So the reason I ran it is because I was set when I was a kid. Like as an adult, I'm like, I bet you if I'm able to really run this marathon and train for it and complete it, I bet you I'll never quit anything again. It was the opposite of who I was. As a kid, I literally quit every single thing. So I was like, let me try this thing. This thing is difficult. I mean, and they're not the hardest thing in the history of time, but they're not easy, and a lot of people have tried to run them and not been able to. So it's like, if I'm able to do this thing and not quit, I bet you I'll have, I've built something inside of me that's some wherewithal that I won't quit anymore. And, my first one I ran was 2010 in March of 2010, and it's 2020 and I haven't quit anything since. I haven't quit a thing since, and I think that grit is what's caused me caused a lot of my success. And I think that a lot of that was built training for, physical things as well as spiritual and emotional. So if you can have a balance of all those, get with it. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. I want you to speak on this because this will give a lot of encouragement to you guys that are listening to this live or hear this anytime. And just as far as like how the physical body will continue to be able to keep going and expand as you over time. Like we all are where we are right now. like when I first moved to Miami 6 years ago, I would start to go on walks out on the sand. I like to walk on the wet sand where it's like squishy and it's not, the steps are always different. Every step is different. Like you could step and you feel like you're in quicksand and like you're shin deep. So to me, that was interesting because I would get to the point where I walked 6 blocks or something and I'd be like, dang, I'm starting to feel this already in my ankles and my shins. Like I need to turn around because I got to go walk back.
Right.
And so now 6 years later, after about a year of that, I was like, let me try to jog. And literally, I didn't even think about jogging and for like months. And then after a year, I'm like, let me just see how far I can jog. So now I'm jogging 6 blocks or 7 blocks. I'm like, let me turn around now. Now, six years later, I could run for miles out there. I'm doing videos, talking to you guys like while I'm running, not breathing hard. It's just like the body. So I'm always saying, challenge the body, challenge the body. It'll keep going.
Conditioning. And it's funny you mentioned that, Noel, because different challenges are hard in a different way, too. So challenging yourself in a new way matters. For instance, I've run a bunch of marathons, but I can't remember where I was at. I think it was in San Diego a couple years back, and I was staying in a place that was like right on the water. So I was like, let me run on the sand. And I actually hadn't run on the sand, I don't think ever, like just gone on a run. And I don't think that I got a mile, and I literally ripped the bottom of my feet. They hadn't been conditioned. I had blisters on the bottom of my feet, even though I was a runner, because I was challenging myself in a new way. So when you challenge yourself in a new way, it's great because you might not have mastered it. It might take a while. I actually had to do the work if I wanted to do that type of running to build, a new challenge, do it in a new way. And I'd have to build up. That's why when I'm doing different exercises, I try to do them in different ways. And definitely emotional and spiritual, I try to challenge people in new ways. And then on top of that, life is always you new challenges, new things to get better at. It's like I said, cards are continually being dealt, and you better be ready to play it's coming.
Absolutely. Beautiful news for all of us. We get a new hand every day in the moment, like in the now. Wake up.
You never know when a pandemic is showing up.
No kidding. The pandemic, the first 2 weeks of it challenged me a lot, like mentally, because I love being out and about with people. Like I'm an extrovert, I can be alone very easily as well. I live alone. At the same time, I just wasn't ready for there was no warning where it was like all of a sudden, like it was like the socialization switch just got flipped off. I'm like, wait, you can give me like a week warning or something so I can set some things up, so first 2 weeks were challenging. And then I started asking myself, what is it that I can do? And you were mentioning this before, just, being grateful. What things can I be grateful for that I can do right now? And I started focusing on those. So I started putting out more podcasts. I started doing more things in my business. I started, seeing what creative things I could do from home. I started using the 5-gallon water jugs that I had sitting around more for hurricane emergencies. Now I wasn't really drinking those, but I was like, wait a minute. I weighed them on the scale. I was like, these weigh 46 pounds and it's water. So again, trying new things. So I started doing like single leg squats with the water jugs. And now when I went back to the gym, I could do things that I could never do before. I'm like, this is awesome. So, it took a while. It took me a few weeks literally before I like really. Yeah. But yeah, I love what you're saying when it comes to
my plans from a gym filled with different things to do to a home with nothing. And how are we going to work out? And it just, I was forced to be creative. I created an entire workout with a towel, literally. The only thing you do is if you have a bad towel, we're going to be able to work back. We're going to be able to work chest, all body weight, whatever, and it's an opportunity to learn a lot. And I still do some of those exercises. Funny. Now that people have accumulated all their gear, like over time, I still do a lot of those exercises that I made up when the pandemic hit, and also, it says a lot of a person if you watch what's happened to them in the pandemic. And it doesn't mean you have to do 15 different things and be this entrepreneur. And people have just been able to get quiet and get more spiritually inclined. It says a lot about companies, like the company that I worked for, Equinox. What happened to them? It says a lot for organizations and individuals. What happened to you in this last 5 months? What became of you? It's a real big indicator because you don't really know what someone is or who's until shit hits the fan. That's when you find out everything about them, not when it's going good.
Absolutely. That's what made me spark when I said before I used to focus so much on the external and that would control. Like that's why, because it's easy to focus on the external when things are going great. We can all do that and then keep focusing on the great and more great will come. But then when it's challenging and we focus on that and we don't realize that, we can focus on things we can be grateful for and focus on doing what we can with what we have from where we are which is a reminder that I always give myself, like, what can I do from where I am with what I have? It's all that any of us can really ever do in this moment, and bring the best version of myself that I can bring to it. May not be the most blissful version of Noel that has ever lived life, but it also doesn't have to be the most powerless and depressed version of Noel either. It could be somewhere in the middle, which I call peace. So I love it. If you guys have questions, put them in the question box. I saw one. I'm going to ask. I have a few questions for Yancy. This person, I asked this on the thing and in the question box, so this is important to her, to Brooklyn. When it comes to inflammation, this is a good question. I've had inflammation before.
I saw that question.
Yeah. What's your outlook on that?
There's a couple great ways. So thank you for asking the question about decreasing the inflammation on your knee. So the thing with people who work out regularly or even a lot, they don't think of themselves as athletes, but they are. And if you see an athlete, if you see a professional athlete, it's not just about their athletic endeavor like basketball, for instance. It's all about the recovery and all the stuff they do before and after and all that. So first thing's most important, get warmed up before you work out is a big deal. But for something like inflammation, is after you're done, ice your knees. You see Kobe Bryant, who's like one of the greatest athletes in the history of friggin' time. The first thing he did when he got off the basketball court, you'd see ice all over the man. It was actually comical. He looked like an Iceman. Like, he'd have ice on his shoulders. He'd have ice on his knees. So ice your knees. It's an important deal. Do things like take cold shower. I know they're not fun, but take a cold shower. You can start with it warm. Take a cold shower. It's anti-inflammatory. It removes a lot of toxins from your body. And then one that's really good is Epsom salts. Very hot, not scalding hot. Hot Epsom salt baths. Be really liberal. Pour Epsom salt in your bath. It's super inexpensive. Like a whole bag's like $3. Pour 2-3 cups in that bath and soak up. The magnesium in the Epsom salt will go straight to your bones and is anti-inflammatory as well. So those are things that you got to do regularly. Don't just work out, don't just exercise, and don't have your body rehab. The easiest way is a nice cold shower. I'm all about it. It way faster than coffee, and it really gets everything moving. Your metabolism. Most importantly, it's antitoxin, so it really removes a lot of the toxins from your body.
I love that. What do you?
Ice, baby. That's it.
I've been foam rolling a lot in the last couple of years. That changed my life. When the foam roller, I wasn't the way a trainer described it to me. If anybody's ever for you guys that eat like chicken breasts, like they said how you take the chicken breast and there's like a little fat on the breast and you kind of want to like rub that off. That's how they describe what was happening with like I think it's the lactic acid buildup to where I'm like kind of like rubbing it out like. I do the foam roller before and after my workouts because almost like I'm prepping my muscles and then I do it afterwards. So that's just another side note, and I do it everywhere, like my whole body. Like it's like a full body massage for me.
Do as much, at least half is for rehabbing and taking care of your body for exercising. That's a big deal, and also stretching and all that stuff. It keeps you stretching, foam roller, all these things. They keep you limber and loose, and it's much better to be loose than to be tight. You want to be flexible, and you want to be capable of moving in every direction, not just now. As you get older. You don't have to be decrepit or beat up. You can be like, I can't remember the young man's name. He's a man who's over 100 years old who still runs marathons. Be like him. Take care of your body, and it will take care of you.
Absolutely. The way I look
tons of different things. Try them all.
Yeah.
Try them all. Thank God for you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. The way I look at the body is, like, if you guys think about it, if you're doing something now, and I saw someone else that asked about, like, motivation, and I'll let Yancy answer this. For me, I always tell people, find something that you're not dreading to go do. I don't care what physical activity you choose, like, something that you actually enjoy, and you can do it as much as you like. Like, that's just my outlook on it, because I've never met someone that dreads doing anything except for going to jobs that they don't like, which even in 2020, that's not required anymore. It's just a side note. But I've never met a human being that does anything that they hate on a regular basis. Like, I've never met that person that can sustain that. So when I hear people like post on Instagram and they're like, ugh, gotta go to the gym. Like, that's not going to last. You better find something different because that's just not, it's just not going to be sustainable. So I forgot what I was going to say before that. But what's your take on finding motivation?
What's my take on the motivation? I say play both sides. Number one, you're right. I mean, find things you like to do. You know, for me, in the morning, it's really exercise. But sometimes the best thing that clears my brain and starts my day off right is to take a nice long 20 minutes, get moving. After like a few minutes, you want to move more briskly. I love taking walks that clear my mind. I'm a business person as well as somebody who's spiritually inclined and all these other things. It gives my mind clarity, off on the right note. So I like taking walks. So I take walks. You know, even though I'm a marathoner, I would much rather take a nice long brisk clearing walk. So yes, you nailed it. Do the things that you like, but for the people who have to do things that they don't like, two things. First of all, find out why you want to do it, your purpose in it. What are all the benefits that come from doing this thing? I said, I don't work out because I love it. I work out because I love the way it makes me feel. So if I keep that, it's easy to get moving. But most importantly, and people don't realize this, think about what will happen if you don't do that thing. Okay? So it's not just the carrot, what pulls you forward, it's also the stick. What happens if you don't exercise for the rest of your life? What's your life going to look like when you're older if you don't exercise? Use it as leverage, as Tony Robbins calls it. He says, get leverage. That's like not just the things that you want from this thing, but all of the crap that'll happen if you don't do it. And that goes for exercise or everything else. Hey, if I don't pursue my dream life, my dream career, like what I love to do, like let's say I don't care, I want to be an actor or whatever. If I don't pursue this with all my vigor, what'll it be like if I actually don't do that and I go do this other thing that I do hate for the rest of my life? What is that going to look like when I'm 46 years old if I never pursued my dreams? Or this girl or this guy, I want to be in a relationship with them, but I'm thinking about breaking it off, but I know they're really good for me. Not only the benefits that come from being with this human being, what it'll be like if you're not. You know, and those things could be good too, but don't just use the good thing that'll happen. What's all the negative stuff that's going to happen if you don't take care of your body? And that can also be a motivator too. You know, that can be a motivator as well, not just the carrot stick as well.
I love that. You maybe just remember what I was going to say, which to me, the way I look at just physical activity and it starts with finding things that you want to, and then I definitely do what Yancy said, because I look at my dad as an example. My dad is 72 and you show me, I mean, maybe the marathon guy, but you show me like more active 72-year-olds, like he's passionate as baseball, and I played baseball my whole life, and I saw a video of him on Facebook a few days ago. He lives in Atlanta, and his new thing, like he can throw pitches, which for anybody out there that's ever thrown a baseball or thrown anything in this motion, it's an unnatural motion for your shoulder to go up here and throw. Like that's not something that we're designed. Like the throwing of a softball, like underhand, that's more naturally the way that your body is built to throw something. But my point is, like he's out there for hours, and he's been this way since I've known him, so my whole life, and he just throw and throw and throw hundreds of pitches, and 72 years old, moving around, I mean, in just great shape. So the way I always looked at it is, if I never stop being active, I'm not going to just wake up one day and not be able to do what I did yesterday. Like, it's just, the body is always, evolving. So I'm listening to the body. I'm not trying to get to level 10 when I'm at level 1, and really, if we think about it, because the only moment that exists for any of us is now, we're always on level 1. So, but level 1 can actually increase to where we're like, wow, level 1 for me a month ago was here, and now look at me today. And that's also a side note for people that are doing things that maybe you don't enjoy. Maybe going to the gym is not something that you really enjoy. I highly recommend staying with it until you see that first evidence of improvement, whether it be a physical feeling or a visual. And you may not even be the one to see the visual. It may be someone else in your life because you're looking at yourself in the mirror every day. So that first time that somebody's like, Noel, your shoulders, you've been doing shoulders. I'm like, thank you so much for saying that, because in my mind, I'm the kid that was naturally really thin, and so if you compliment me on my physical anything, I'm like, thank you. This is my secondary love language. I appreciate you.
Love it. Yeah, I totally would agree. Definitely. And get outside or do things in a different way. I'm one, and I apologize. Someone's doing construction outside, so I apologize if it's coming through. But
I don't hear it.
Do things in a different way. When somebody failure is good because it gives you feedback, right? It's like if you're trying something and you don't quite time, you don't have to just keep banging your head against the wall. You can either give up, you can try again in the same way, or even more importantly, you can try again in a different way, because if you keep trying again in a different way, you're going to eventually find something that works. I don't like working out in the gym. Then you go to work out outside. Oh, my God. I liked it, but not so much. Then you go to work out in the pool, and you're like, that's it. Dude, I love working out in the pool. It's cold. You can really move. I can float. I can feel like I'm free. All these things. So keep trying things in a different way until you find out what works. You called it. You'll find out a way. It'll finally click for you. You talked about before we got on that aha moment. You want to try to help people find these aha moments. Keep trying things in new ways, and you will find that aha moment if you don't give up.
That's the key right there. The last thing that Yancy said, because a lot of times as human beings, we want the answers right this second, and you may not be ready for the answer right this second. So it may take you trying some different things, or just being open to a new awareness coming to you from, you could be watching something on Netflix and be like, what is that they're doing in that? And you start to Google and you're like, oh, this is another physical activity that I didn't even know existed on Earth. And now you found your aha moment. And so just being open to, just evolving, not thinking that you know it all, because right now, if you think that you know all the ways to physically move your body or to grow spiritually or any area of life, you don't. I promise you. None of us will.
Yeah.
And so if you could stay open, then you never know when the synchronicity will come that could completely shift your life in whatever area that matters to you. So that's a great reminder. I love that.
One of the most important questions I saw. And also, hello to everybody who I know out there. Thank you guys for putting in. Everybody who I don't know, obviously, as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Something about overcoming plateaus. I don't know which question you want to ask next, but what you just spoke about, it's right. It gets right into plateaus, because plateauing is something that happens all the time when you're striving. You spot where you're just like not as motivated, or this or that, or you don't improve. The key is change. Don't change the vision, the way you're doing it. So if you're working out if you're doing cardio every day and you plateau, add weights. If you're doing weights every single day and you plateau, add cardio. Add a different way to do things. Or if you're working out for strength all the time, work out for muscular endurance. Go until you're really tired, or add high intensity interval training, or do things in a different way, but keep the same vision. Vision is to be in the best health you can be in, but you're only doing it one way. Or, for instance, my brother, you said we're talking about doing things in a different way. He asked me for 10 years, Yancy, how do I change my diet? How do I make my diet better? I would keep giving him ways, and it would never click. And then this movie Game Changers came out, which is about being vegan in a sports world, right? And I was like, hey, I just tried a different way. I was like, you know what, Marcus, I'm not going to tell you anything anymore, because you listen. Watch this. And I sent him this movie, and he watched it, and boom, it clicked. Oh, my God. You can be a vegan and be super. Boom. Changed everything for him. So doing things it's all about trying things, and it's also a great way to experiment in life. Keep the vision the same, change the way you do it, and even if you're doing well, change the way, because you're going to find new things. Boom, you can get better at something or help somebody else too.
I love that advice. If you guys spaced on that, you guys live can't rewind this, but rewind for you guys that are listening to this when this is out, and listen to what Yancy said again, because that just ties right in for us staying open to just becoming more aware. Because you may, at the gym, literally yesterday, I was watching someone, and everything that I know at the gym is because I've seen someone over my time, and I've been working out since I was 12. I had my parents put a weight set in the garage. Like, that's all I wanted for Christmas. All I want for Christmas, kid. Just give me this. And if they could do it, they could do it. But that was something that I've been doing for a while. And I saw somebody at the gym yesterday doing an exercise that I was like, that's interesting. And I saw what they were working. Like, I'm paying attention to what muscle groups are moving when they're doing it. And I'm like, I'm going to try that. And so I added that in yesterday. And it's just, now, like Yancy said, it's going to shock my body a little bit, challenge my body a little bit. And it's going to add to my overall vision, which is what you mentioned. I want to just see what my body can do. I'm not comparing myself to anyone else out there, because I'm in the physical avatar that I'm in, and you guys are in the physical avatar that you're in. So start where you are and just be open to trying new things and finding what you enjoy.
A life lesson, a gym lesson, it's all the same. I know a man named Mark, an extremely successful music executive. Mark, if you're ever on here or if you're keeping an eye out, this story is a good one. This man, I think he did 7 years in a row on the elliptical, or 8 or something ridiculous, and never missed one day. Not Christmas, not his kid's summer vacation. This man did the elliptical every single day for 7 years and never got the results he wanted in his body. He did the same thing. He was even like a vegetarian, like he was eating a ton of fruit every day and doing all this stuff. Let me tell you something. He was doing the same thing for 7 years. He changed one thing. He stopped doing the elliptical and started doing weights. Man, dude's body changed like nobody's business. And now, 5 years later, he is slim and trim with muscle, looks amazing, and it's all because he changed one thing. And it's not because the elliptical is better for you than, or weights is better for you than, the elliptical. It's just doing things in a different way. You never know how your body's going to respond. Everybody's different, and you never know how you're going to find the thing that really works well for you unless you experiment.
I love that. I love that. I want to ask you a question, Yancy, that I love to ask people, and this will be fascinating for you guys that have been following Yancy for a while. And it's a vision question as far as what it is that you'd like to see in your life, and if you've thought about what you'd like to see in this world for humanity. I love asking this question because a year from now I could ask this question. Like right now it's August 2020, and you're going to have another year of life experiences, which is you're going to evolve, and the vision will evolve as a result. So as of this moment, what's your vision for what you're doing, and anything else that you're willing to share?
Yeah, I think for me, I would love, and I have people that I connect really well, and I've been so lucky to be able to work with people as a personal trainer and as a life coach. But my world right now, I am renowned in a sense as a personal trainer, and that people really go, that guy's a great trainer. He's had a career. He's been awarded things, all these different things. And I would love for people to see me at the same level as a coach as they have as a personal trainer, basically as this now celebrity life coaches ever. I've really been able to peg that half, the physical half. For myself, I've been able to peg the emotional and the spiritual, but I would love to be world renowned in that way as well, because that would mean that I've been able to work with people all over the world. They've had so many levels of success working for me, and they're able to say, hey, I worked with Yancy in my business, and I went from this level to this level, just like the way they're able to say that they're in their body and they lost 50 pounds or this or that. I would love, only because it's not really about my ego, it's about ability and I think that for me to be world renowned as one of the best life coaches on the planet is what I would love to see a year from now. And I know because I'm doing work and because I'm connected with people and I'm working with them in that level now, I know it's just a matter of time before that happens. So I would love for people to say, hey, there's Tony Robbins, there's Yancy Berry, there's so-and-so, and I would love for people to begin to think of me on that level as well. And that's my vision. And in a small way, a lot of people do already. I do have a contingent of people who are like, that's the guy. You need to be life coach. You want to be a emotional, spiritual, business, relationship, well-being. Go to that guy. And that's great. But I just want the whole planet to know it. And that's what I'm shooting for. And why not? And I'm building the right team for it. I'm a believer in teammates and building a company. So that's what I've done. I'm a big proponent of people finding other people stronger than them in other areas. Like I have a person who's great in operations and marketing, and I have a great salesperson. I have a tech side. I have all these things, and I focus on the coaching and helping and speaking and all those other things, and have those people drive their other areas. I know 1 + 1 = 3. That's what Ray Dalio says, and he's one of the successful investors in the history of American time. And he says 1 + 1 = 3 because you're going to be able to achieve a lot more with another person who's able to share your vision and you work well with than you're able to do on your own. So that's what I do. I build teammates that can help me grow.
I love that. And I love the way that you just shared that. And, you guys listen to not only what Yancy was saying, but the way that he was saying it, the passion that he shared it with, and the impact that he enjoys making on other human beings. This is what I love knowing about life. And I believe this about every single one of you guys on here listening, and everybody that listens to this whenever they hear it, wherever you hear it, is we all have life experience that we speak about, that we've experienced in life, that we're passionate, just like Yancy's passionate about impacting people the way that he is. And I just love hearing anybody share it, because right now I'd be totally okay with it, and I know Yancy would too, if the live button, if it said 7.7 billion humans like watching this right now. Because I know we've shared things that are impactful for anyone, because it's coming through our life experiences, and we're sharing it with the intention to uplift and inspire the audience. And so I want to see that for you, Yancy, because again, if there was 7.7 billion humans watching this right now, I think it would make a big impact on the planet. So I love that. I already see that for you.
Me too. Me too.
Absolutely.
So what's your vision for a year? What's your vision for a year, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm living it right now every day, and it's to touch more lives. And what I see for humanity, Yancy, and it's a beautiful time that we live in here in 2020 and beyond, because look at the technology that we're using. Yancy and I are hundreds of miles away from each other right now. You guys are wherever you are on the planet. I'm sure there's some people here watching that are thousands of miles away, and so we can all connect and touch each other's lives. And I told this to Yancy before we started recording. I see such value in everybody's life experience when you're speaking it from a place of empowerment, not a place of like, woe is me, or blaming someone, or like, this happened to me, so I can't do this. Not from that place. Like, we're not going to have that conversation. Like, I'll immediately say, hey, let's talk about what it is that we would like to see, and let's flow energy and see how we can help each other with that. So what I see for humanity is us coming together more, and us being able to offer our unique life experiences and help other people that are inspired to know what you know about that. And as a result, being able to wake up every day. This is how I like to wake up, and I want this for everybody. Imagine waking up every day and saying, what sounds most fun today? What sounds most fulfilling? And then living that out, because that's what your life is. No longer spending time doing things that you're only doing, because we do things in life, and I've been here, and I'm sure all of us have. We're only spending time doing these things because we want the result of the paycheck, or we want the result of whatever it is. How about we have results that we want to see, but we're also enjoying and loving that part of life, and we can all do that. So that's what I'm creating. Everything I do is to add to that vision.
You can have all the money. You can have all the money in the world if you're not in love or you hate what you're doing. Really negative. It's a real detriment to you. So I certainly do what I love every single. That's one of the reasons I can work from when I wake up to when I go to bed, because I'm pulled. I'm not fighting. I'm pulled. If somebody gets on the phone with me, a good friend of mine, or a couple of good friends of mine are on here now. There are people who've called me at 11 o'clock at night because they needed to talk, and we needed to work through stuff, or I needed to walk them through a guided meditation, or this or that. Doesn't matter. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning on the roof, man. I'm going to help. It's easy for me because I'm pulled by what I desire, and that's how I know the vision comes true. And obviously, more important than that is what you said, is being able to help people and have the planet grow. I mean, I don't want to be better than any other life coach. I want us to all be absolutely amazing because the whole world gets impacted. It's not about me being more known or this or that. I just know what my potential is, so I'm going for it. My potential is the stars, so I have my star. And then I have the book, patient series, or all the other things with that. Or I actually have all those things, but in a bigger way, where it's 200,000 people or 1 million or whatever on each. Every time you open up, so every single thing you say can have the ability to impact a person, a butterfly effect. The smallest thing, man, a smile. You can smile at somebody who's having a bad day. They can go home and have a better day and be nicer to their spouse. Their spouse then, in turn, does another thing. You never know what the smallest action you do and how it's going to impact somebody in the long run. You never have any idea. Person who said, Yancy, you should be a personal trainer, they have no idea how many lives that they have impacted to this day. That one sentence, she doesn't even know. I'm not even sure she knows now how many people that she's impacted, their lives, their spouses' lives, their kids' lives, because I have some success stories, man, that are amazing of people that I've worked with. That person doesn't even know. They were just saying something that they thought was helpful. They don't even know I have an idea of the butterfly effect and how that transforms even more down the line.
That's a great reminder for everybody out there, just to even be like friendly to people, be kind when you're out in the world, because you just don't know that kindness, what that person was going through in that moment, that leads to them being kind, or them having hope to where they continue their life, and then all of a sudden, like Yancy, is impacting the lives. And this is why I root for people so hard, Yancy, because I know that anybody out there that is doing something that you feel like you're thriving and you're enjoying it and you're creating and you're seeing what it is that you want to see in your life, and therefore adding to all that is in this planet that we're all sharing here in 2020 and beyond, that just allows all of us to enjoy life even more. If you go out there and you create a new technology or food or some experience, or life coach someone to where they believe in themselves and now they go create something, it's allowing us all to have a more enjoyable life experience. And that's what I want. I see the humanity that I want to live in, because we're all here in these physical avatars for a limited amount of time. And so how much can we enjoy it? How much can we help each other? How much fun and fulfillment can we experience while here? It's unlimited. It's just a matter of getting the focus and the attention on that versus having so much time and energy put on what's already done. Like, yeah, there's been horrible things and challenging things that's going on in our lives and humanity for sure. At the same time, putting more energy into fighting against that versus creating a new is not going to create the new manifestation that we want. So I'm just going to continue to, for everybody out there, be the light, be the example of what it is that you want to see in the world first and foremost, regardless of anything else. And that is starting the butterfly effect just from your example, because people are going to recognize their light through you by you being it. And that's for anybody out there. We can all do that starting now. So I love it.
You nailed it, brother. You nailed it.
I love it. What do you want people that are tuning in to know as far as connecting with you? Or I know some people have asked like where you train people or how you do or any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I live in West Hollywood, which is basically Los Angeles, California, but I now connect with and train and life coach people. I'm literally international now. I have London, Jersey, Philadelphia, Miami. So I'm connecting on Zoom now and FaceTime and all these other things. So I can work with anybody, anywhere on the planet, as long as we can line up in the right time zone, right slot. Connect with me that way. A great way is YB Wellness. My going to follow in the upper left-hand corner at YB Wellness Instagram. Message me. I get to every message, and I'll respond to messages that are fitness-related and health-related. I don't just respond to anything, obviously, but... And then yancyberry.com is my website. So check it out, yancyberry.com. And we have some great stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm releasing the first of a guided meditation series that I'll be releasing for subscription. I have a seminar. Noel, I'd love it if you kept in tune with it. I have a seminar on October 1st, in which will be a lot of my life coaching lessons. That's going to be October 1st, and it's going to be it's going to be, anyone on the planet can join and find out more about how I do what I do, teaching a lot of my life coaching lessons there. I'm releasing fitness gear very soon as well, for men and women, leggings, shirts, top, headband, everything. So I'm releasing a very nice, high-quality end of fitness gear. And also one pretty cool thing is, if you guys follow Common, he is doing a series right now called Common Well on his YouTube /Think Common, and he has a 6-part series called Common Well. So if you follow YouTube, my episode of his series comes out on Tuesday. So Tuesday, September 1st, 12 o'clock Pacific, it's going to be a live showing of that episode of Commonwealth, which is pretty dope. And you'll be able to find it later as well. But if you want to go on live and see what people are commenting and all that stuff, yes, and book club. I've been hosting a book club, a spiritual development book club, for about 4 years now. We always read personal and spiritual development books, and we read them together, and we read them over the course of a few months, and we talk about every single Wednesday, 7:30 Pacific. So if you want to join my book club, if you're spiritually, emotionally, and personal development inclined, message me and I'll send you for that, because we have people who, again, more stories, more success stories. A lot of real winners are in that room. I'm sorry, my watch is trying to talk to me. But yeah, there's some real stories, my own and some others in that room. So if you want to join book club, any of those ways to connect with me.
I love it. Can I give you a book for the book club? I'm going to reach over. I got it right here.
Yeah.
So I went to a seminar and they said, if we watch, listen, or read anything 7 times, it becomes a part of us. I was like, that's interesting. Wonder why I just got that fun fact. And then all of a sudden, I'm in a mastermind a week later with a group of people that I highly respect. This was years ago. And they said, a lady came up to me after I shared my vision. She said, Noel, there's a book that I think you would really enjoy. And you don't have to tell me twice. Like, I take that as like, okay, universe is saying, here, Noel, here's your next thing. And so I got this book, Happy Pocket Full of Money, from David Cameron Giocondi. You heard of it? Woo! Powerful.
You read it.
I love it. Oh, wow. You guys are doing good stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Book.
I love it.
It's a great book. And not that many people know about it,
No.
which is wild, because it's such a great read. That book inspired the person who wrote that book inspired somebody who wrote a massive book. I can't remember which book it is, but I'll tell you, it'll come to me and I'll tell you about it. But that book, A Happy Pocket Full of Money, influenced who wrote a massive best-selling book along those lines. And I'll try to remember tell it to you. But it's something really, really huge. But they were inspired by that book. It's a great read.
I love it. That makes me happy that you guys are.
The Shea Simple Club. Shay read that. We read that book. It was a great one.
I love it. That makes me happy. Read it again is my advice. If you've read that, if you've only read it once, go through it again, and it'll hit you even harder the second time and then the third time. I love it.
It's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money.
Yep.
And the author is Gikandi. Gikandi. A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And which one? And I'm a big fan of money, and I love making it. I
am wealth. I am gratitude. He says, I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. All right. So you guys were getting
I would say it's through what a great affirmation.
Absolutely. So you guys are giving me a 20-second countdown here on Instagram. So I want you guys to share this. It'll be on the live stream on the IGTV for 24 hours to be shared and let this impact other people. And thank you so much for coming on with me, Yancy. And you guys connect with Yancy if you're not already, and connect with him and everything that he's doing. I'll share the stuff you're doing with Common, and then we're going to go off right now. I don't know. Awesome. We'll wrap up over here on Zoom. And let me share this to IG.
Sorry.
That's good. That's good stuff. We shared a lot of really good stuff with people.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Are we still on Zoom? I mean, is the Zoom still being recorded?
Yeah, I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to close it out. We're on Facebook streaming too, YouTube. Make sure that this IG saves properly. I always like to find a thumbnail that doesn't have one of our eyes closed or anything.
That was really, really great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Well, the last thing, I always do this before I close these out, but anything else because I like to squeeze all the juice out, and you've been doing it the whole time, but if there's something that somebody tuning in 50 years from now is like, this is something that, you want to make sure that they hear coming from you, maybe you're reminding yourself a lot of something, or clients, or whatever the case may be, but you've been doing it the whole time. But if there's anything else that wants to squeeze out of you, please.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's something that I call it the twofold solution to problems. It's something that I created on my own years ago, and it's something that I use with every client. There's a twofold solution to problems. When problems come along, what can I be grateful for that's directly related to the problem, and what opportunities are now created as a result of the problem? If you do that with every difficulty that comes your way, you'll get to find joy 100% of the time. Because when things are going good, it's easy to be happy. So if you can find gratitude and opportunity in difficulty, you'll look at it in a completely different way. So then you have the time of your life when things are going well, and the time of your life when something's going difficult, and you're able to really maximize both. What you can be grateful for directly related to your problem that you're dealing with, and what opportunities are coming as of the problem. And the mind is really great because it finds what it's focused on. So if you're focused on gratitude and opportunity, when a problem comes, you're actually going to look for them as opposed to looking for what the heck sucks about this. I have a great exercise real quick that I have people. It's one where you say, look around the room and find everything that's red in the room. Look around and find everything that's red in the room. You have them close their eyes and you go, okay, what's everything that's blue in the room? They can't see it because they weren't looking for it. But they'll look and they'll be able to find, not only will they be able to find, they'll find things that aren't even red. They're like orange, and they're like trying to find it and find ways that it can be red. Because if you're looking for grateful things to be grateful for, and if you're looking for opportunities all the time, man, you'll see them everywhere. Your mind looks what it's focusing on. Focus on gratitude and opportunities, and you'll see them in the difficult times. And when you're having fun and everything's going well, man, it's easy to have fun and laugh it up.
Absolutely. Such good advice. I love that advice. I'm so happy I asked you that so you could share that to just book in the whole conversation, because that's powerful. Like we said all the way through, we all can do that. If it matters to you, you'll practice. And if you practice that, life is going to shift in all areas that matter to you dramatically, because that's what holds most of us back is we get stuck in the not being grateful, and we get stuck in the problems and the challenges and not looking for grateful things or opportunities, and we just continue to go down that slippery slope a lot of times until we hit the bottom, which really no bottom, but until we get so much pain to where now it's like, okay, I got to go in the other direction. And we don't have to go that far down before we start moving in the direction that we want to go. So I love that reminder.
Absolutely.
I love it, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your energy with me. And Affirming it is our first co-creation, and we'll co-create together definitely more when time is
I believe
right.
so. Great to meet you. You're a fantastic soul, man. I mean that.
You as well. You as well. I could tell the vibes right from the beginning, the way you responded to the message. I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun conversation. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
Me too, because I get that request all the time, by the way. I get that request all the time, and I would say I respond to less than 10%, man, but I could see it right away. I pulled up your page. I could see everything you were doing. I was like, let's do this, man.
I appreciate it.
So
I appreciate
keep up that fantastic work.
Yeah, no, I'm supportive of everything that you're doing. So you post stuff, and I'll repost it and do all the stuff when it comes to your stuff coming on the first and the comment and everything. And you guys share this episode if you're watching this live, and then when it comes out on iTunes and Spotify, hit a review that say that Yancy human. Awesome. So let more people find him when they're searching for Yancy. I want them to see this episode. This will be a really great piece of what he's created here in 2020. So appreciate you, brother, and you guys out there, sending you all so much love. We'll talk to you soon.
Many blessings to you, Noel, and everyone who's watching. Thank you. God bless.
Absolutely. I'm gonna stop the stream here. I'll tell you later on.